Hello. Hello, we are here. Sorry there was no music or anything. We were finishing up our meetings and I didn't want Anthony I didn't want to accidentally play our voices from our meeting onto the stream. But now we're good. But where's Anthony? What? Hello? You coming? Hi, Evan. How are you doing? What's new? Harpy's birthday. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you, my son.
Hello.
There you are. Took you long enough. We're already done.
Oh shit.
I already talked about roguelikes for 13 hours. I know. It was good to see you, too. I love seeing Evan. It's always wonderful.
He speaks for himself only, Evan.
Oh, yeah, next Wednesday. Holy shit, you're right. Poggers.
You can't have this hoodie anymore. It's gone.
That thing's gone? Wait, is there new merch? You haven't announced new merch yet, though, right?
New merch is coming. It has not been
I saw you
announced.
posted in the
Only
patron
to
chat, but I
patrons.
can't look at it because I'm not a patron, right? So I didn't know how to look at it. It's like log into the account or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah. So you should post the screenshot in the patron chat so I can see
I'll
it.
post all the pictures.
Yeah, I was like, that was rude.
I'm super hyped. I'm so hyped for the Twitch stuff.
It was rude as fuck.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay.
Hello. All right. Oh shit. Audacity.
I'm just gonna use this box. I'm feeling like, oh god, my webcam went away. Pogtopia, as they say.
Come in.
Why is this fucking smushed and mushed? Noki, are you good?
I'm
not talking to you, Google. You fuck. Do previous subs count for the Twitch rewards if you're not currently subbed?
I'm gonna count them.
Even if they're not currently subbed?
If they're not currently subbed, no, they have to be currently subbed.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Okay, but if they're currently subbed, you'll backdate there. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. All right, you ready to record a fucking mother effing whip whapping podcasting? Why did my webcam die? What is wrong with my webcam lately?
And it's strictly subs, Master Animus. In case the way you said is Twitch stuff. I don't know if you're implying like do donations and stuff count. Donations do not count, and that's mainly because we don't have the logistics to track them. Twitch doesn't give us granularity on that. Make sure to mention Skylar's.
Don't tell. It's a oh my god! What the fuck? I think you just blew out your mic.
You can't hear me?
What? No, I can hear you. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
But it sounded like you went like to static mode. It was bad. Now I can't hear you.
Hello?
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
I couldn't. That was not sarcasm that
time. Twitch gives us a nice spreadsheet of all the people who have ever subbed to us and for how long and stuff. They don't give a shit on bits.
Oh, thank you, Ben. No worries. All
and
right.
It's right now without like building the back end system we've talked about before. Too much of a logistical hassle to track that.
Are you ready?
Oh, he put 110. Like we need an automated system that's telling us that. Yeah.
Audio begins now.
The voice of Master Chief, Spartan 117.
Audio begins now.
Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Spartan 117. Welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. Anthony and Skylar will take it from here. Master Chief, out.
Yo, hold on. My
Yo, my name is Anthony Nicolosi.
my Audacity stopped recording me. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, Audacity's just like not recording me.
Yeah, because your mic is fucked.
Can you hear me fine though?
I assume it's here. Tap your mic. Nope.
Let me see. Maybe it like didn't get. It's not being used.
I don't know. Your sounds mic good though, so I don't know. Maybe you didn't hit it hard enough. Can you hear this?
The test sounds okay.
Did you hear me tapping my mic?
Do it again. I was in test. No.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's why.
Do you hear this?
Yeah. Do you hear this?
Nope.
Really?
Oh, I heard a thing for a moment there.
I was swallowing because
Oh,
I knew you hated it.
I heard it just for a bit.
Well, more Brittany hates it, right?
I definitely judge people who do it too. Like if you're like people who are talking and they're like, and when you plug the interface in right here, it works really good. And it's like, you fucking idiot! Like, just do it. Cover your mic.
My tongue touched my mic.
All right, I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right.
This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Spartan 117. Welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast.
Thank you.
Anthony and Skylar will take it from here. Master Chief, out.
Welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. My name is Anthony Nicolosi.
And I'm Skylar Sokol.
Whose birthday is today?
Whoa.
Skylar's birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Skylar, what the heck are we talking about on your birthday? It's
Well,
got to probably be like your favorite topic ever.
It's definitely not, but at least it's a topic it's about a type of game I enjoy, which is roguelikes. Something that is very close to my heart. I played so many, and the concept is really appealing to me. I really love them. And it's also a type of game Anthony basically has no experience with until today.
Until today.
So I guess we can start it by chatting about your experience, or we can maybe I'm just going to talk a little bit about what a roguelike is to me, what that means, and then we'll go from there.
Tell everybody what it is.
Yeah.
Like, if
that's
it
what I
was
mean.
Me and I didn't know.
Yeah, so roguelikes originated from like text-based and ASCII-based dungeon crawling games. The original one was called Rogue. There's also one called like Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. There's one you can actually get that game on Linux with apt install. Even in our very secure laboratory, you could get Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. It's just called Crawl inside Linux, but it's based in Ubuntu. So anyway, those games are the characterization of a roguelike is it's a one and done kind of game. Permadeath is a huge thing in roguelikes. You play until you die and then you start over. And then you play again. And in the original roguelikes, that was it. There was nothing carried over. And in a lot of roguelikes that exist now, that's still the case. There's a really good ASCII roguelike, in my opinion, the best ASCII roguelike that's ever been made, called Caves of Qud, Qud. It's on Steam. I've owned it forever. Literally, it's been out for I feel like years, and still the developers push updates weekly.
An ASCII roguelike that people...
Yeah, so basically, it's because you used to play them in a command prompt, right? And so the only way to represent a map and stuff was using ASCII characters. So, different characters represent different things. Like an A represents something. You're usually an @ sign and stuff like that. But Caves of Quad does it in like a really nice way, and like there's graphics and stuff. It's not like it's just takes from the ASCII roguelike like genre. Yeah, exactly. One thing that's like characteristic of those games is that the learning curve is huge. You have to memorize like a fuck ton of controls, like all this shit. Like they are hard to get into, but they're some of the most like deeply satisfying games because they like procedurally generate an entire world for you from scratch with like lore and stories and history and villages and characters that all have their own like personalities and things, and you like find them, and it's different every time. And that's a huge part of roguelikes is procedural generation and random chance like stuff that you find. It's not like random like it's not output randomness, it's input randomness, where there's randomness going into the system, and then you like find it and you make decisions based on that randomness.
Random.
So like in the original roguelikes, you would find scrolls, and the scrolls names would just be random characters, and you have to use it or use an identify scroll on it to figure out what it does. Otherwise, you just do it and you find out. In the Binding of Isaac, a more modern roguelike, you find pills, and the pills are various colors, and they start as question marks, and until you use it, you have no idea which pill it is. And it's different every run, so you can't use previous information. So if you get the orange pill and you use it and it reduces your attack power, you're like, fuck, and then you avoid them from then on. Or you just choose not to use them at all if you don't want to take the risk. Another thing that's really characteristic of roguelikes is that there's like a bunch of different random items you can get, a bunch of different random builds. In Caves of Quad, there's like a bunch of races and classes and mutations and spells you can find. In the Binding of Isaac, you just run into random items, and as you get those items, it builds your character. So by the end of a roguelike that you're playing, you like have this unique character that's basically fully unique and just yours, that someone else, it'd be very hard for someone else to have that character because they would have to get the exact same random build as you, and that's not that easy. And even if they did, all the levels they played would have been different than yours. All the rooms they experienced would have been different. That's cool. And the last thing I'll say about roguelikes is a lot of most roguelikes, Binding of Isaac, most modern roguelikes, which are actually referred to as roguelites, Lite, because the big thing that distinguishes a roguelite from a roguelike is that the permadeath is not totally permadeath. There's stuff that carries over. So like in Binding of Isaac,
Hades is technically roguelite.
Yes, and almost all modern roguelikes are roguelite. Binding of Isaac is a roguelite because you unlock new items that then can appear later that couldn't appear before. There's like some sort of progression. There's a shoot-'em-up roguelike, bullet hell roguelike called The Void Rains Upon Her Heart that I really like that uses a similar mechanic. I've played it on stream. Similar mechanic to the Binding of Isaac where you like unlock items for the future. You get more information in future runs, like stuff that would have been hidden before is no longer hidden. You get the information, that kind of stuff. That's what makes it a roguelite rather than a roguelike. But the last thing that's really big in roguelikes is that usually when you finish them, like in the Binding of Isaac, when you beat the first boss of the Binding of Isaac, that you beat Mom for the first time, that's like the beginning of the game. And that takes a long time usually. Usually in roguelikes, to beat it once takes like 10 to 20 hours usually. Just to beat it once, and that's like just to start the game. And then when you're really experienced, you could probably like you can beat a whole run of the Binding of Isaac in like 45 minutes. But to like get the final story, you need to do that like 20 times, but like more stuff happens every time. New enemies appear, harder things happen. You get new items you can use. There's like new bosses and new rooms and hidden extra stuff to find that like slowly expands every time you finish the game. This is similar in Hades and similar in most roguelikes. That finishing the game isn't actually finishing the game. That's just like the beginning. That really is like the beginning of the game.
Right. Because, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like a general overview of roguelikes, at least from my perspective.
But why do you like them so much?
So I think my favorite kind of games, like board games especially, are tactical games. Tactical games are where you're given a series of information, you're given some situation, and you have to figure out from what you know about the situation how to act in the immediate. You're not planning really ahead because you can't, because there's so much like stuff that happens before you get to make your next decision. You know what I mean? You can have a loose plan, but really you're taking the random elements that are given to you and making a decision. And the roguelike is like that exact concept turned into a video game, right? every time you're given a random decision, and tactically, based on what's been going on in your run, based on what blah blah blah, you make a decision at that moment, and it's always random, and so the decisions are always really interesting. You know, I get bored very easily from doing the same thing more than once. And because the roguelikes have such a variety, it doesn't feel that way. You know, like for a while when I was working from home, I would do a run of The Binding of Isaac every day, just one run. And it was very satisfying. It was so fun to do that. And there's not that many like games you can do that with, single player games.
The same,
right. It's completely different and it's very hard is another thing. Roguelikes are very notorious for being extremely challenging games.
But challenging from the perspective of completing them is, you know, in our whole run is challenging, or because the mechanics of them are challenging?
No, there's that they're designed well. They're designed to be challenging. You know, like the Binding of Isaac is hard because you have to execute the mechanics very well, I guess.
Okay.
Right? It's not that the mechanics they're very simple, but to execute them extremely well is hard. It's good. It's like Rocket League, you know?
Sure.
You get really good at the set of mechanics in the game.
Like Hades was easy what I played.
Well,
so far.
I mean, you say it's easy, but you didn't even beat the first boss, right? If it was easy, you should have beaten the first boss already. You should have beaten the game already.
It didn't feel like I was good, if that makes sense. I felt like that's why I thought it was easy, was because I got to the boss already and I didn't even feel like I was doing good.
Well, the first boss, like that's sort of how roguelikes work, right?
I'm just saying, like
getting to the first boss isn't hard, but you didn't get.
That was challenging about it wasn't really the moment-to-moment gameplay. Although the boss was like the boss part was weird. I obviously didn't figure it out because I got killed. But it was more of like you need to keep yourself in a good enough shape, you know, going into the boss the whole run when you come back through to. So it was more of like the macro challenge of it, more so than the micro challenges presented along the way. If that makes sense.
I mean, every time you get hit, you're failing a micro challenge, right?
In my head, the micro challenges, in like using that wording for Hades, were like the rooms. So like every room was a micro.
Right, but in my mind, if you get hit at all in a room, you've basically failed that room.
Yeah, if you're striving for that kind of like macro level thing, that is the case.
So in that way, I would say it wasn't actually easy, right?
I don't know. It seemed easy to me. It was like,
I'm confused how you can say it's easy when you died and you never beat the boss. Like you didn't even get to the boss until the last run.
Trying hard. Like I felt like I wasn't like super sweating. I feel like something is hard for me if I'm trying hard and I'm failing. But I wasn't trying hard.
Well, I think if you tried hard, you would still fail.
Okay. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Maybe.
I think so. At least you might beat the first boss relatively quickly, and I also beat the first boss relatively quickly. But trust me, gets really fucking hard. The final boss is like nearly impossible the first try. At least it took me like 4 tries to beat the final boss.
There's also an angle of this of like maybe that's just the implementation for Hades. The point I'm trying to bring up is like, what is the hard part? You know, like is it? The way I experienced it wasn't necessarily that the moment-to-moment gameplay was like crazy tough. It was more of the macro challenge of completing the run, you know, was hard. Like it's hard to go through all the way and beat the boss, but like the
that's because the moment-to-moment gameplay is challenging enough that you lose health over the course of the run.
They're not challenging. They like if they were challenging, I feel like I would get punished much more severely by the time I'd get to the boss.
But
I'd be getting to the boss with like 10 health because it was so fucking hard all the way there.
The time you got to the boss, you had 30 health out of
10.
50. Right.
And I lost it mostly because I fucked up my dash press into a disappearing platform and a bunch of projectile shots. That's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't hard moment to moment.
I feel like I don't know. It's interesting to me. It doesn't feel like you can say it. You can make that judgment, I guess, is more what I'm saying. I don't think you played enough and played it in the right way to make a judgment on whether it's hard or not, considering you didn't even beat the easiest boss in the game.
But the discussion is about the challenging part of the roguelike of Hades so far to me was going through all the way and beating the boss, you know, like not dying through the whole thing, right? Like that macro challenge. But the moment to moment challenges weren't that fun. Like hard, getting to hard. Like the rooms I found myself in felt like, to your point, it was like, make sure you don't do a little fuck up so that you can eventually get to the really actually hard thing.
Right.
It felt like busy work. It felt like busy work to get to the real hard thing. That's how it felt so far, and that's what my question was aimed at. Was like, other games, are they like always, how the boss room was hard? Are they like hard all the time? And then on top of that, you need to add the whole, you die, you start over element.
Yeah, I guess I disagree with your semantics, because to me, the fact that you got hit in most rooms you were in meant you were failing them, and so they were hard.
Okay, but that's not hard for me, I guess. So we have a hard for me was
right. I guess in your mind, the only goal is what was your goal then, right? Like, because what's the definition of hard is like, what challenge are you trying to complete, and were you able to complete that challenge, right?
And for me, I think it was just like moving through the spaces, right? Like I enter the room and I'm just trying to move through the room.
Right, because the goal of the game is to beat the final boss, and you didn't even get close.
But like, maybe we can get to like what I think of roguelikes so far later. But all I was trying to ask with this conversation was, does the hard part come from the macro or the micro in the way I defined it? It sounds like Hades implementation in particular for me, maybe only through that first boss, because like later, like you said, it gets way harder, and like even the enemies that I experienced got harder. You just had the little stupid blob boys and the hammer guy, and then you had the guys shooting the projectiles, and then you had more of them, and they were immune, and blah 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 blah. So like it definitely scaled, and I can see like it'll get way harder. That's the question. Having not played a lot of roguelikes at all, minus literally an hour of Hades.
Right.
I don't think I've played another one. Like
you haven't.
That's where the question was coming
from. And I guess for me, I think even the moment-to-moment gameplay in Hades is hard if you're playing to win. If you're playing to beat the final boss, the moment-to-moment gameplay is very hard, because every time you get hit is very, very bad. Even losing one health is very, very bad.
Yeah.
I guess is my perspective, and that's why I would argue that both the moment-to-moment and macro gameplay are difficult if you're trying to actually complete a run.
Yeah.
And in the early game, right, even like just being the first boss, getting hit is really bad too, right? Like, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess from that perspective, even the smallest, as Ben says, that I said, even the smallest mistake is failure.
Yeah, because then you get to you put yourself in a bad situation for the end. I don't know. Yeah, we can get to like what I thought of that whole thing later, for me personally. But anyway, that was my question. Yeah. Continue with what you were saying about how you said you play Binding of Isaac every day working from home. That is really nice, and that it was hard, it was difficult. And that's where this
yeah, no, I think it's really interesting, right? Like, beating a full run of a roguelike is very challenging, basically no matter how good you are at the roguelike. Like, that's a crazy thing about them. Yeah. Like, Northern Lion, he's a YouTuber. He plays the Binding of Isaac every day. He does a run, and he's been doing it for 7 years, I think. And he still fails. I mean, not that often. He's probably one of the best Binding of Isaac players in the world, but he still loses sometimes, you know?
Right.
And so, to me, that's really interesting, right? They're games that feel like they stay challenging and they stay interesting and new, even though you're still playing the same game. And a lot of games don't do that, right? Like, once you beat BioShock, once you beat Halo, the next time you play the campaign, if you don't change the difficulty or anything, is going to be the exact same game, essentially. Right? You might notice something new, but the replayability, the whole definition of a roguelike is that it's like infinitely replayable. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, I mean, the replayability in those, in my opinion, is different. Like, you can play BioShock the second time a different way, and that makes it replayable.
Sure,
like,
but every time you play a roguelike, it's a different way, right?
Same. Yeah, the layout is the same, and the challenges presented to you
are identical, right?
Yeah, totally get the point.
Yeah.
I didn't really super. I just watching the reviews on Returnal. That's one thing that looked interesting from my perspective. That's that's a little closer to moment-to-moment gameplay that I might find interesting, like a little closer, and so that's kind of what I was interested in and learning more about it. And having dynamic, yeah, I'm just thinking the way the Returnal vibes I got a little bit were like Doomy in some ways, the intensity and the ferocity of the fight in some situations, like it was always coming at you, the bullet hell and everything kind of gave me some Doom vibes. And I was just thinking like, yeah, shit, if you had like a Doom roguelike where like you just kind of were always spawning into new kinds of arenas with enemies and stuff, that would be a fuck ton of fun for sure.
Yeah. But I think for you, fighting is what's fun, and for most people in roguelikes, like the random, like adapting to randomness is what's fun.
Yeah. Well, and you were saying, and I can totally see how that's satisfying. Like in Hades, when you came back, you got, what was it, like a new power? I don't know what you call them exactly, but it would be like the new temporary power for that run.
Right.
So
throughout the run, you get new temporary powers, right? You get god powers throughout the run, and you get new random abilities and all that.
But
right?
like, for example, always at the beginning, you got one.
Yes,
right?
you get
like,
one at the beginning. Yes, that's correct.
And I was like, well, that's exciting, you know, like to come. It's almost like fuck, I lost. But like, ooh, what do I get to use this next time? You know, and
exactly.
And, getting and rolling with that. So I totally see the merit there, and I wouldn't even say I didn't like that. Like, given the way the game is made, like how that works, that's cool.
Yeah, like dying doesn't become like a bad thing in some ways, right? Because in some ways, like it's like, oh fuck, I failed the run, but in the other way, it's like, oh, now I get to experience something basically completely new.
And that's a really interesting point. That I don't think I like about roguelikes in general. Like, it feels. Yeah, you like you said, that's one way of looking at it. But at the same time, it's like you really didn't accomplish anything, and for like that's how it registers in my head.
Well, this is the beauty of roguelites, right? Is that you did because you got some gems, you got some darkness, you got some keys, so you can unlock a new weapon, you can get new passive upgrades, you can get new new room stuff with the gems in Hades, for example, or in the Binding of Isaac, you get like new items that appear later that you couldn't get before every run. So that's why roguelites are way more popular, because I agree with you, dying completely and starting from scratch with no carryover is kind of frustrating. But the fact that you like slowly progress in the background is what makes it okay.
I think the key for me to enjoying a roguelike or light, or I should say light. I don't think I'd ever like a roguelike.
I think most people would not, honestly.
I think I would get really frustrated and not want to play it. But I think the key for me to enjoy that is that the moment-to-moment gameplay is satisfying enough to, or I guess it. What I was going to say was that the moment-to-moment gameplay is fun enough to play again. Right?
Yeah, I feel like you just need a first-person shooter, Halo/Doom style roguelike, and you would probably really like it.
Right, that's one thing. The other thing would be like I guess theoretically, if I found those, you know, effects that you get when you come in compelling enough to want to like keep trying them, you know. That'd be enough. My impression was like, I'm just thinking to myself, if that was the first boss, and then I basically did all of that again for the second boss, knowing there's 4 bosses, and I died on the second one, I'm gonna be so fucking tilted. I don't give 2 fucks about what thing I get next time. Like me personally. But however, it's like you just said, if it was a Doom roguelike, I don't give a shit. It's effectively the equivalent of like a horde mode in a way to me. It's like I'm going into a dynamic horde, procedurally generated horde mode kind of scenario where I'm just going through. It's fun to just. I remember, like I was telling you in Doom, like the arenas were fun where you just have the guys there and you just fucking. If you just gave me an infinite amount of those, I just want to do that because that's fun, you know.
Mm-hmm. No, I think for you, like just the gameplay loop is so important that having a really well-designed, like interesting mechanical roguelike doesn't really matter unless the core gameplay loop is like exactly in line with what you like. Just because that's how you play games. Yeah,
probably. But Hades was, like I said, I thought it was. I can totally see the merit and why you like that and why that's compelling. It's just like not my jam.
Yeah. And another thing that's really good about Hades is the story and the narrative aspects and how much work was put into that. And that's not something you were really focusing on either. And that's another thing that really drives people in Hades. Because, like, every single time you fail a run, all of the NPCs have new dialogue and new story things, and all their individual stories with Zagreus and with each other progress throughout the game as you die and as you make progress. All of the narrative stuff progresses with you, even when you're dying.
Yeah, you know, I tried at the very beginning. You jumped in, and like I was saying, when I'm playing with friends, I play like if I care about story, I have to play differently than if I'm playing for gameplay.
Sure.
For me personally, and when we got the other thing about it, I talked about this with Doom 2, is like the delivery of story is so important for me. If it's text and like it had voice acting,
yeah,
voice acting
Hades is
great.
100% voice acted, so that's a big thing.
And it was great. I think I did this with Nintendo games too. I struggle, man, when you give me the option to skip text and their voice acting, I'll skip it and I won't listen to the voice acting.
Yep.
Like, it's better for me to not have text and just the voice acting.
That's interesting.
But anyway, so I had things working against me in a little bit. I did not, like you said, experience that. But anyway, it obviously beautifully crafted in all regards. It wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask you. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm interested in what your
I wanted
questions.
to ask you about what your favorite roguelike ever was.
Oh.
Is it Binding of Isaac?
That's so hard. My favorite roguelike right now in this moment is Luck Be a Landlord, which is a slot machine roguelike where you spin a slot machine and try and win prizes randomly, and every time you spin it, you get to add new symbols to the slot machine reels, and all the symbols have different like interactions with other symbols. So it's basically like a deck building board game. You're like building a slot machine with all the symbols you want and all the synergies you want, and hoping that you get like random spins that give you those synergies and stuff. Your goal is to reach different monetary amounts as you play. And it's so fun. That game, if you haven't played Luck Be a Landlord, go fucking get it, because it's amazing. And it's like $5 or some shit.
Yeah.
One of the roguelikes I've been most impressed with recently, I mean, Hades is amazing, obviously, but it's called Noita, Noita. It's on Steam. It's like a pixel. The art is amazing. It's like pixelated, but all the individual particles are simulated. Like, the physics are crazy. If you ever played those sand dropping game, like Flash games, I don't know if you know, where you like drop different types of sand and you could like drop fire on gunpowder sand and it would explode. This game is like that, but in a roguelike. Like, all of the all of the elements interact with each other of all the materials of the area, and you get these wands that are like super interestingly customizable. It's honestly like crazy how much content is in that game, and I've like only scratched the surface. Also, the Twitch integration in that game is crazy. You can like, your Twitch chat every like minute can vote on like some random event to happen to you while you're playing. One time I was playing and like, I think it was like only Gabe was in the chat, and he voted for Lava Lake, and literally it just spawned like this like fucking enormous lake of lava under me that I just like fell in and died instantly. I was just like,
under a casino?
No. This is in Noita, which is like
Noita.
which is a side perspective dungeon crawl kind of one. This is the particle one.
Add that to Luck Be a Landlord.
Maybe they should. But yeah, I'd highly recommend people play Noita if you like roguelikes. That one's amazing. Also, The Void Rains Upon Her Heart, which is the bullet hell shoot 'em up roguelike, is really fucking good. If you like shoot 'em ups, I think it's like one of the best ones. Granted, it's a horizontal shoot 'em up, which is annoying, but
horizontal shoot 'em
like
up.
it's not vertical, so your character's not at the bottom of the screen shooting upwards like Galaga or Space Invaders. You're at the side shooting to something on the other side.
You don't like that?
I like that less in shoot 'em ups generally, but I still really like the game enough that I don't really care. I also have been my favorite roguelike that has co-op is Gunfire Reborn. It's a first-person shooter roguelike that's very fun. That I've played with Sean a lot, and that one I would highly recommend as well. There you go.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I just thought about, like, if I wanted to play Hades again, the way I'd have to play it for myself is to create the goal of beating the boss or beating the whatever, right? Now that I experienced the game, don't want to jump back into it from a moment-to-moment gameplay perspective because it's just not my thing. But if I wanted to play it, that would be why, right? It'd
Right.
be like to beat the boss. And so then my mentality would become more of the previous thing you said. I feel like there's games I've played. Surely there are games that I've played that have had this element of, as you work towards the real goal, these nitpicks along the way can fuck you for what you're really trying to accomplish.
I think it's common in a lot of games. It just comes out a lot more in roguelikes because of the permadeath, right? That's why.
Yep.
But yeah, I think I think honestly what we need to do is find a good first-person shooter roguelike for you to try. Either Gunfire Reborn or Evan in the chat recommends Immortal Redneck, which is actually not one I have played, but is a very popular first-person shooter roguelike that people really like. So.
I'm on my quest to play games I wouldn't probably play normally. Hades, I actually did it.
Evan says it plays similar to Halo.
Which one?
Immortal Redneck. Maybe that's the next one you should check out.
Yeah, maybe that's the next one I should check out.
Maybe we should have honestly we probably should have had you just play a first-person shooter roguelike from the beginning, but
it's okay. I don't mind supporting Hades. The fucking menus on Hades, dude. The menus. They're like
everything about Hades is so well thought out and intentional. It is crazy.
And the art, the animation, the music was good too. I like the music.
You didn't even get to hear like the sickest music tracks either. It's in the second area. There's such good music. There's so many good songs in Hades. Yeah, Hades is like it's almost like too good to be my favorite roguelike. Like I guess that's how I feel.
It's super good.
It's like they're very like from a game design perspective, that game is nearly flawless, and most people agree. Like it's just like one of the best games that's ever been made. Like. That's it.
Awesome. Yeah. Like I said, it's not my jam of gameplay wise, and that gameplay loop's so important, but damn, dude, if I never play Hades again, I don't give two fucks because they deserved easily the $25 or whatever.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how And I mean, this is like so unrelated, but it's like sort of a long time coming for that company, right? Because they've made so many good, like they made Bastion, which is like already amazing. Like to have their first game be that good
also
and
good music.
Yeah, Transistor. All their games have such amazing. Transistor also good. Pyre, which is the only one I haven't played of their stuff, also supposed to be good.
Aren't they guys also who like are well known for not crunching their employees and stuff?
I think that is a thing. Yeah, I believe that's true.
You know what? They should have fucking rewards for these games where it's like, what's the game? Like, how'd the game come out? And then you maybe could also put like these extra things on it. Like, did they crunch their employees? You know?
Oh, I want those stats. Yeah. Steam should just like penalize them, penalize the price they're allowed to put the game up for based on that shit.
That would be super. I was just thinking even from a review score perspective, like you could look at games and be like, oh, this game is apparently awesome, but they fucked their employees over making it.
I want Steam to be like permanent 10% discount because CD Projekt Red punished their employees.
Not for it.
Yeah.
That's when Epic gets a bunch of new games.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on. Okay, but hey, anything else you want to say about roguelikes? What about narratively? What is the best?
So,
okay, your favorite roguelike from a narrative perspective?
Yeah, narrative is crazy, right? Narrative's crazy in a roguelike. Like, you're making a narrative for a game that you replay over and over the same game. And, like, Binding of Isaac basically did it just by, like, cinematic cutscenes every time you beat the final boss, and they slowly enhance. But, like, honestly, I'm so far from beating, like, Binding of Isaac completely just because, like, it's gotten so many new iterations that I've, like, never really committed enough.
I'm a fan of cinematic cutscenes.
But like, honestly, Hades' narrative is like unbelievable. Void Raids Upon Her Heart also has good narrative, but Hades is really good. There's actually a new roguelike that came out recently that I've played a bit of that's really fun called Going Under. It's about this like girl who starts a job at a startup, but there's like these like fucking goblins living in the basement. So like they're like, yeah, you're going to be like our intern, but also you have to go kill the goblins in the basement. And it's like this cool top-down, like, you pick a 3D style game where you pick up weapons and just like smack shit with them. Sort of like a third-person / top-down smack shit with weapons game where they like break, sort of like Breath of the Wild style. Honestly, the combat feels very Breath of the Wildy. But the narrative in that is really well done too. It's similar to Hades and how it's done, where like whether you win or lose, it evolves. But then when you win, it evolves like further in like different ways. And the way Hades narrative works is fucking crazy. I don't know how they even designed it. I mean, the way they design it is by recording like 50,000 voice lines or whatever. Like,
yeah, as Jesse Shell says, don't be fooled. No matter what, narrative is always ends up boiling down to being just linear. Lots of fuck ton of linear work. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's crazy is like roguelikes aren't really linear. I mean, they're sort of linear, right? The single experience is somewhat linear, but then each run, like the fact that you're doing multiple runs, isn't really linear. So to make a story like that is really, really hard. And somehow in Hades they just did it. And like all the characters have unique stories, and like your story progresses, and when you beat the game, your story progresses, and then there's more to. Yeah, it's.
Yeah,
I have no idea. That game is go if you haven't played Hades and it appeals to you literally at all, go play it because it's pretty much
good.
Like one of the best
it's
games
really
ever
super
made.
polished too.
Yeah,
you're looking
perfectly
for.
polished. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, I think that's like everything for roguelikes. They're a really unique genre of game that's really like blown up. Honestly,
they are. Yeah, they are. And
yeah.
You know, I feel. Do you know enough about the Returnal save situation to talk to it at all and give your opinion on it? Because
I mean, I don't even want to grace Returnal with much podcast time because that system, it's like so stupid. Like,
oh yeah,
they just ruined it.
I just was curious.
I don't think anyone. I don't think that's like controversial. I'm pretty sure every single person feels this way. That there's no reason you should have a game that doesn't let you save when you quit. Like, I can understand a roguelike, right? Where like, yeah, you play and then you die and you're done. But if I need to like leave, fuck that shit. If I need to like be outside of the game, like let me save or don't make your game. Like, what the hell are you doing? It's like I'm on a Game Boy and I have to turn my Game Boy off and lose my save or some shit. Like, what year is it? And even Game Boy games have an internal battery to let you save games. So like, I don't know what they were thinking with that.
I don't know. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah. As I was saying to Sean, Hades saves after every encounter. So even if you're in the middle of a run, right when you finish a room, if you quit, you'll start and you'll be right back in that room. Like, why would you not do that for every video game ever? Like, that makes no sense.
It just feels disrespectful of my time, is what it feels like.
Yep.
You know what they did with Returnal.
100%. It's so pointless.
I don't know.
There's no reason to do that.
Anyway.
So don't play Returnal. Play Hades instead.
Yeah, I was just about to say not to overly kill Returnal on that one or anything if you're down for it, but Skylar says don't play it. Play Hades.
I mean, Returnal's gameplay may be really fun, but like I don't fucking care because that design choice is so bad that like,
dude, it would prevent me from playing.
Support better developers than that.
Oh man, this is shooting straight on this one.
You know what I'm missing though? Last thought. I've never really, I don't even know if it exists, but I would really like a rhythm game roguelike. Get me a rhythm game roguelike, and then I'm set for life.
Interesting.
I don't think one exists.
See, I feel like I would maybe, if you gave me like a DDR roguelike, I'd play the fucking shit out of
some
that,
people would claim that BPM is a rhythm game roguelike. Crypt of the Necro Dancer. That was basically a rhythm game roguelike, but it wasn't really rhythm gameplay. It was like the rhythm was like underlying the gameplay. But Crypt of the Necro Dancer is cool. Basically, you like have to move in time with the music, but you're still just doing like a dungeon crawl sort of experience.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yep. I was. If you gave me DDR roguelike,
yeah, that's what I want.
I would play that shit.
I mean, rhythm games are basically already roguelikes, right? Because you just play a song and then you play a different song.
Yeah, but what if that song is different every time?
So there's actually a lot of rhythm games that have options where you can set them to random so that the notes are random, and that can be like that. I actually, in my we found a setting where I could you can mirror the notes, so you can like make it be 180 degrees from what it normally is, and I tried it, and it was like a whole new game.
Well, hey, I mean, if you have a set of levels like that, and then at the end you have to do some super thing, I mean, it sounds roguelike to me. Roguelite to me. Yeah. Roguelike, actually, because you don't even get any saves.
You don't. The only thing you get is your skill improving, which is what you get in.
Which is what you would get in a Returnal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't know how Noki keeps disabling my camera, but she does it.
Hey, stream, Give me Sayonara as a roguelike. Ooh,
oh my god.
Sayonara.
I'll play the fuck out of Sayonara Wild Hearts roguelike.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Anyway, where can people find us?
Well, actually, hold on. We have a quality time.
Anyway,
question from our
quality time
patron.
question. What's up?
So Sand Squid asked this one, and he really wants us to ask this one. And he's been waiting on this one. Apparently, companies. It was revealed in the Epic and Apple battle in court. Lots of things were revealed. One of them is that apparently companies like Activision and Epic have to pay Sony a certain amount each month for cross-platform play. Oh my God! Do you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I heard screaming.
All of my USB devices just died.
Okay.
Okay.
So
They're
anyway,
all back.
what were you saying? Continue.
Companies have to pay Sony. Publishers need to pay Sony every month in order to have cross-platform play. Depending, apparently, the cost goes up depending on the players.
Okay.
The game's player base.
Okay.
And so his question is basically just what we think about that.
Wait, yeah, he didn't ask a question. Sand Squid, you're not allowed to ask quality time questions that don't have question marks. Just say.
I followed it up. I said, "Is the question what we think about this?" And he said, "Yes." So,
all right.
What do you think?
Well, Sony's always been the cross-platform enemy, right? Like,
yeah, they're not.
They've never been a fan of cross-platform. So, like, I mean, if that's what you got to do to get Sony to be cross-platform, then, I mean, it's shitty. It's a shitty practice. It's not good. It's like the Apple practice of, like, proprietarizing all your shit so that no one else can interact with it in any way. But, like, yeah.
I basically.
I mean, if you're thinking about it from a business perspective, it's like, great job. You came up with the business. Your player base is in such demand that you can actually demand people pay you to be able to interact with your player base. So I guess from a business perspective, great job. But from like a making the gaming world better perspective, fuck you. Like, that's so shitty.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. It is a different style of business practice. What I was gonna say is it feels antiquated. I mean, it's still done all over the place. But like, I guess I was just going to say we don't see the same thing happening with like Microsoft and Steam games and whatever. But
I mean, we did for a long time.
Yeah,
all right,
like a long time.
Until Rocket League, even Microsoft was super resistant to cross-platform gameplay. Like, everyone hated cross-platform until very recently, and so it's a new thing. Yep.
Until these companies started switching to these like services models and like subscription based models for services.
You know that Rocket League was the first one, right?
Yeah, before that, the platform holders really weren't incentivized to support that kind of stuff. You made money by locking people into your ecosystem, and I think maybe that's an element of why you see it coming out of Sony's more. I'm not sure. They didn't talk about Nintendo. It'd be interesting to see what Nintendo
I can't
does
imagine that Nintendo was like. I'm sure that Nintendo did the same thing. I would be so surprised if they did.
I would think so too. It's in Microsoft's best interest to not provide those things because they need to like hit as wide as possible and everything like that. But it's a different business strategy, business angle. So anyway, that's what we think. Basically,
we think it's shitty and they should stop.
We think it's shitty. I was going to say something else.
What we really think is that everyone should just play games on PC and then this won't be a problem, right, Anthony?
I mean,
birthday hot take from Skylar.
Dude, I think the Xbox strategy is where it's at. Play on PC if you want to for our games, and then if you don't have money or something and you still want a console, play them there instead. And then who gives a fuck who you play with?
Yep.
Game Pass coming to PlayStation. You heard it here first.
There you go.
All right,
Game Pass coming to Discord, which is coming to PlayStation or whatever.
That would be. I hope Discord's coming to Game Pass. All right.
All right.
If you want more information about what the fuck we're doing,
we don't know that, so we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Super high quality podcast that you wanted more, or you wanted to find out more information about our studio, because we are a studio. We are working on a game. A roguelike rhythm game. It's not a roguelike.
Excuse me? I wish. Maybe game 2.
You never know. Side spin-off here. Gary Vee just wrapped up his NFT auction.
Okay.
And your boy is the proud owner of Amped II. So it's Amped II is a piece of Gary V intellectual property that he's working to develop for the next 45 years. By purchasing this, I also got a pass to VCon for the next 3 years and all this stuff. But I'm just saying, I think Gary V is super open to a rhythm game roguelike with all of his new Amped II benevolent barn owl characters. And he would just be so thrilled. Game 2,
all right.
the roguelike rhythm.
Anthony's dream is to have Gary
with
V
animals,
to work with Gary
with
V.
Animals, Skylar. With animals.
I like it. And alliteration, like I'm in.
So, kokoalaentertainment.com.
Love you all. Thanks for watching.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Discord,
yeah, join the Discord. Shit's coming. We say that every time, but I promise it's actually coming sometime soon.
Yeah, it's not my fault. E3's a thing.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Amazing.
Well, maybe the other thing can come out before now, right?
So, interesting idea.
Right? Depending on how the timing works out.
Maybe.
Yeah. Because that we don't have to wait for.
Everybody round the world, come on!
I thought we got away from that one.
I think this is not celebrate. Have I been singing that one?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Have I?
God damn it! I named this wrong. Fuck.
Celebrate good times. Come on!
All right, I'm gonna eat dinner.
Yeah, dude, the gameplay loop's such a big deal for me.
No, it makes sense. Like, knowing how you enjoy games, I can totally understand why, like, that would be basically like the top priority. I feel like you're like almost the opposite of me in that, like, I feel like if you liked the gameplay loop, you would be like, you might like Returnal if the save thing didn't exist. But like, as long as you
I agree.
The gameplay loop, I feel like you would play any game. I feel like the outside design literally doesn't matter if you like the gameplay loop enough. Whereas for me, like, the outside design can stop me from playing a game in a second.
I 150% agree with you.
Totally.
Dude, I got like 300 hours into not 300, that's not that much. 200 hours into Destiny 2 when it's literally like completely
the entire game you hate except for the shooting, right?
It just clearly did just enough on the gameplay loop to keep me going back.
Yeah, I can't believe I don't know what's happening with my webcam, but I need to look into it. All right, goodbye stream. Ben wants to know how soft our hoodies are, and then I'm ending the stream.
Super soft. Super fucking soft.
Especially the pullovers, right? The pullover ones?
Yeah. Well, I think you said they're all, right?
Yeah, the zip-up was really soft.
Champions? No, only black on those, Benjamin.
Benjamin?
What was I going to say?
Oh, that
somebody who bought our hoodies asked beforehand if they were soft because they had some skin condition. I don't remember what it was. And I told them, I'm really confident it's soft enough, but order it, and if it's bad, we'll give you your money back. They ordered it. They loved it. It was soft enough. Boom, 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 boom. So, for what it's worth.
Yay.
All
right, goodbye.
I love Easter. Thanks. Fuck. Links.
I'm going to go do something fun finally today for my birthday.
Let's go. Me too.
You're going to do something fun for my birthday?
I'm going to eat meat for your birthday.
Hell yeah, you do that.
Hey. All right, guys.
All right,
see you later.
Bye.